We back at it again. This is the Winning Circuit. I'm Isaiah,
This is your boy. You already know.
and let's get straight into it. Now, last week we referenced the New Orleans Saints and all of their sanctions due to their bounty situation, and one of their major suspensions was Sean Payton, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. He's suspended for the entire season. So he got resourceful, and he went to his mentor, Bill Parcells. Now, under Bill Parcells, Payton worked with him with the Dallas Cowboys, and he goes back and forth with Parcells from time to time to get advice, and they maintain a good friendship. So who better than to coach a team that he basically put together indirectly?
Indirectly. So if he's Sean Payton's mentor, does that mean that Bill Parcells ran the bounty scheme too? I mean, you never know. You never know.
Well, that's some good insight there. I'm not sure, but here's the thing: Bill Parcells is 71, and he'll be 72 in August. I mean, when you think of Bill Parcells, you know that he's known to clean up franchises.
Mm-hmm.
He won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. He came into the Patriots and led them to the Super Bowl. Then he took the Jets to the AFC Championship game in 1998, and he brought some consistency back to the Dallas Cowboys. But here's the thing about Parcells: he does things on his own terms, which he earned in his own right. But I'm not sure if he's willing to put in that commitment time being at his age. What do you think?
I mean, it's only for 1 year. I mean, if you're getting paid, why not do it for 1 year? They have a good, solid team. I think they'll still contend for the division. Hopefully, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I think he might do it.
Okay, now here's another thing. If he does take the job, which by all accounts it's not finalized yet. If he does take the job, he's gonna have to deal with the media questions, and he's
used to the media asking him all these kind of questions, though. He's been in the game for almost 30 years.
He's been in the game, but he's been behind the scenes for the last 5 or 6. And from time to time, Parcells does get abrasive. Now, maybe his older age might have brought some calm to him, and he understands the situation, so maybe he will be more receptive to it. But I'm not sure if this is the best fit for him he does have some similarities, being that he coached Payton in ways of how to handle his team, and also taking care of the the defense. I mean, he does handle that better than Payton does. Payton's an offensive mastermind, so I'm not sure how that might work. But that age factor, I'm not sure about that.
I mean, even if he does become the coach, they can't replace Sean Payton's play calling abilities with Drew Brees. They have kind of a connection going on, so they'll still lose a little bit, but he's still a better option of what they have right now.
I dig it. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's not finalized yet. It's just speculation. Mm-hmm. They did speak, and Payton's suspension is effective April 1st. April Fool's Day at that. So we'll see what happens. Well, continuing the NFL thread, Tim Tebow was in New York. He had his press conference Monday, a huge press conference for a backup at that. I mean, the Jets, they're just a circus act right now. Tebow in New York, Sanchez, insecurities, Rex Ryan's personality. There's so much going on. I mean, I don't know what to think of this. Tim Tebow in New York, how do you feel about it?
I think they honestly think he could help the team, you know. Mark Sanchez is not really a great quarterback. He led them to 2 AFC championship games, but that had more to do with the defense. If Sanchez struggles, look for Tebow to become the starter, and then who knows? He has willpower. He might will them to their first championship since Super Bowl, 3?
Here's the thing. Rex Ryan is known to draw media attention at all costs. I mean, he is a defensive genius by all accounts. He learned from his father, Buddy Ryan. I mean, here's the thing. The Jets, they just take away from their legitimacy with this move to me.
Why? I thought Tim Tebow's a winner. I thought he wins.
He is a winner. But here's the thing. They have this wildcat package they're going to implement now that Tebow's there. So they're saying that he's going to take at least 20 snaps away from Mark Sanchez. Now, any quarterback who's consistently taking care of the offense, controlling the way the offense runs, they take all the snaps. Now, that type of influx out of games here and there, is that going to take away from Mark Sanchez's ability to take control of the offense? And think about this. Once Tebow starts to mess up, once he starts to throw interceptions,
which he will.
Once he starts to throw underhanded balls,
he will.
Once Antonio Holmes calls him out in the locker room,
he will.
I mean, what are the fans going to do? They're going to call for Tebow. So what is Rex Ryan supposed to do? Is he supposed to leave Tebow on the bench and show that he has ultimate confidence in Mark Sanchez? Is that what he's supposed to do? When the Jets clearly made this move to sell tickets.
Clearly?
I don't see it.
Maybe they thought he could actually help the team.
He is a football player. He's a great football player. He has the ability to motivate players, and he's a great leader. Mm-hmm. And despite the fact that his offensive skills as a quarterback are not aesthetically pleasing, he does get it done. He did beat the Steelers in overtime last year in the wild card game. Got the Denver Broncos their first playoff win since 2005. I mean, I don't know what to say necessarily about his skill, but he does win. Maybe the Jets want that aura in their locker room.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's exactly what they want.
But you mentioned before that they went to 2 AFC Championship games prior to last season where they missed the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
They do know how to win. Maybe this move necessarily will bring them back to the defensive side because they know their offense won't necessarily be the focus.
I disagree. I think they really think he can help the team. They really need some positive energy in the locker room. All the turmoil last year with San Antonio Holmes and Mark Sanchez, I think Tebow brings that. And they still have a lot of talent. They just have to put it all together. I mean, they did go to 2 AFC Championship games just a couple years ago, so they haven't lost all of the talent. They lost some, but not all. So I think they will contend for a playoff spot this year with Tebow. I mean, I don't know. Maybe his presence will infect the whole locker room, and they call him Jesus. So maybe, he performs miracles, people. He performs miracles. So hopefully he'll perform a miracle in New York.
I mean, his faith is something that he's staying strong on, and that type of faith is what gives him confidence to carry out some of the things that he does. I mean, after all, the Jets were a victim to one of his comebacks last season,
mm-hmm.
where he did win 7 out of his 11 starts as a Bronco. Here's the thing. When you structure your offense around Tim Tebow, you have to, scrap everything. You have to take it from the bottom.
Now, if you're going to be a backup, you don't have to scrap everything. You just put a few plays in there for him and let him do his thing.
But we mentioned before, Mark Sanchez's psyche is fragile. It's not the most stable. I don't know how he will handle this. They're playing to the media real well, saying that they'll work together. 2 is better than 1. We'll see how that works. But I think this will implode in the locker room, and Tim Tebow will eventually become the starter because that's what he's meant to do in New York. That's what he's going to do.
But they just they gave Mark Sanchez an extension before Tebow came in the picture.
Exactly.
What I don't get.
Exactly.
So you think Tebow will replace him as a starter, and then he's gonna get paid all that money just to be a backup?
I think Tim Tebow, he's gonna do what he does. He's gonna go in there. He's gonna be a leader. He's gonna lead by example, and he's gonna say all the right things. But I think Mark Sanchez will be his own downfall because he won't be able to handle the Tebow media frenzy.
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to see, people. We're gonna have to see. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Now, aside from that big news over the weekend, boxing was in play.
Mm-hmm.
Zab Judah fought Vernon Parrish this weekend. Now, this weekend, the Winner's Circuit had got the chance to interview Judah about his preparation and see how he was really ready to handle this up-and-coming fight. This fight was a junior welterweight eliminator to become the number one contender against Amir Khan. We'll see how Judah responded to our questions from the winner's circuit. Yeah. Experience in the ring is something that's an added bonus to you. But do you feel like, aside from the experience, do you feel like you're youthful enough to be able to maneuver around the ring with a player like Brendan Parrish?
Yeah, I think so. And I know well that I'm saying that this situation is gonna be great. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm coming in. I'm gonna use my jab, my combinations. You're gonna see fast hand. You're gonna see combination. You're gonna see the old Zab that everybody wants to see. You're gonna see him again. And, I'm ready.
Here's how he backed it up. He went in Brooklyn, the Aviator Center, and he shut down Paris the entire fight. In front of the Brooklyn home crowd, he dominated with left hooks, had Paris in the corner many times, and he unloaded combination after combination, 20 punches after 15 punches. I mean, he just kept unloading on Paris to the point where the referee had to come in and stop the fight after 9 rounds. It was a great showing.
Very impressive.
And I think that he showed a confidence because he was home, and he knew that he had to step up to get back to the championship level that he was at in the past.
Well, yeah, he started off his career really, really well. I mean, after the first loss to Kasazu, he rebounded, but then he had a stretch. He lost 3 fights in a row with a no contest in between. He lost to Cotto, Mayweather, and Baltimore. All great fighters,
right,
except for Baltimore, who has a lot of losses. Nothing to be ashamed of. But now he's come back with a vengeance. He lost to Amir Khan, controversial fight, some people would say, and he's looking to get his rematch. So I think he deserves a rematch. I don't know if Amir Khan will want that rematch because it might not be an exciting fight to the casual fan, but Zab definitely is working towards that rematch. So let's see if Amir Khan will give it to him.
Here's the thing. When I spoke to Zab, I mentioned how old he was. He's 34 right now, and in the state of boxing, there isn't as much excitement as it used to be. And when we think about the 80s, there was Mike Tyson, there was the Holyfields, there was the Riddick Bowes. I mean, boxing was a staple in sports. Now, other sports have elevated, and sports has taken, and boxing has taken a back seat to many sports. But the gladiator side of boxing is what draws people in. When I spoke to him about his age and how far he wants to go along in this game, he has some interesting perspectives. Now, you've been in the ring for a long time now, and you're still I would say in the prime of your career. Yeah. But how long do you see yourself continuing to box?
Boxing. I think boxing is one of those things that when you lose the desire to get up and train and want to run and want to get in there and compete at a high level of boxing, I think it's time to give it up. Unfortunately, that's not none of my problems. But, you know what I mean? So, like I said again, with them saying.
He says he's ready. He says he still has that hunger and that desire to put his body to that test every time.
Now he has to prove it now. He proved it with this fight. Let's see what he does on his next fight.
Now, according to Khan's entourage, his whole media team, whatever, they say that he won't necessarily fight at junior welterweight anymore after this fight with Peterson on May 19th. Mayweather stated to me that he'll be there May 19th, and he says if Khan gets past Peterson on that Saturday, then we'll see where it goes from there. After watching him fight in front of his Brooklyn crowd, he had something to prove. Not just to the crowd, but to himself. He wanted to show that he can still
got it.
He can still fight at a high level. If he's able to get this rematch with Khan, this will be, in my opinion, this will be one of the fights that can determine what path Zab Judah's career will go on after this.
I mean, how old is he? What, 34 now? 34. I mean, he only has, in my opinion, a few fights left. If he loses to Khan, he has a few fights left. If he beats Khan, a bunch of options roll in. So I think he has to get that. If he gets that fight, he has to win. The problem is, I don't know if he's gonna get that fight. I don't know. HBO, Showtime might not even televise that event. So what do you think? You think they'll televise that event? I don't know if they will. Unless the undercard is really strong, I don't think they'll televise that event because it might not sell a lot. Nobody wants to see that fight again.
Well, it just depends on how Khan performs on May 19th. We'll be watching. Well, as we all know, the NCAA tournament is getting heavy now.
Mm-hmm.
The Final Four is in New Orleans, and Ohio State and Kansas will match up against each other. And then the marquee matchup of the weekend, Louisville and Kentucky. Coach Calipari is 8-7 versus Pitino, but in the tournament,
4-0.
4-0.
Undefeated.
Pitino was 4-0 against Calipari, and Calipari has never won an NCAA championship. This Kentucky team looks like the strongest team that Calipari has ever had to win a national championship. Now, in the past, he has had strong teams with Derrick Rose's team in Memphis, losing to Kansas in 2008. He's also had strong teams in UMass with Marcus Camby.
John Wall.
He has strong Kentucky teams with John Wall.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know necessarily where that's going to go, but this season, Kentucky did beat Louisville by how much?
69-62 New Year's Eve.
7-point win, which was actually a 13-point win if
Russ Smith hit 2 threes, I believe.
two threes in the last 10 seconds. So that game wasn't as close as it looked. Now, with the Kansas and Ohio State game, Thomas Robinson is the front runner for Player of the Year.
Oh, I don't know about that. What about Anthony Davis?
Well, defensively, he's carried everything, and he has gotten praise from all media outlets everywhere. He's gone in that type of following again, and he's the top prospect in the NBA draft. But I feel like Thomas Robinson has consistently carried Kansas' offensive load, and aside from Davis's rush towards the end of the season, I feel like Thomas Robinson has been more consistent. Now, Kansas did defeat Ohio State early in the season, but John Sullinger wasn't there.
Jared Sanjalia, he did not play that game.
So do you think that him being there this weekend in New Orleans, do you feel like that will change the outcome?
Definitely. I look for Ohio State to win this game and face Kentucky in the national championship. And I think Kentucky and Louisville has more build-up because they're rivals, but Ohio State and Kansas might be the better game.
All right. Now, Rick Pitino coached at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
He's
We won the national championship in 96.
96. He's been in historical games against Duke in 1992.
Mhm.
1992 Christian Laettner's jumper with 2.1 seconds left. I mean, he's in Kentucky history. That game, there's a lot of pressure on both sides. Louisville wants to prove that Rick Pitino is back. Rick Pitino wants to prove to Kentucky that he's still on his toes. And John Calipari has to show the Kentucky faithful that he's worth the 8-year contract that he received.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. I think Calipari has the strongest case to win the national championship this year. Anthony Davis is an anchor on the defensive end, and Michael Gilchrist is one of the.
He's a top NBA prospect as well.
He's one of the sleepers of this season. I feel like he's coming on strong at the right time, and he honestly, when we talk about potential, he can honestly make a dent in the NBA. We'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. I still think Kentucky won the national championship. I think this Kentucky-Louisville game might be a blowout, honestly. Louisville has trouble scoring, and Kentucky is the best defensive team in the country. So I think Kentucky, if they just lock down and play to their defensive potential, I think this game will honestly be a blowout.
So you don't think that Louisville has any chance of?
I mean, it's a tournament. You never know, but I really don't. I can't see them winning against Kentucky.
Now, with Ohio State and Kansas, you said that might be the better game.
Mm-hmm.
What aspects of that game and that matchup tell you that might be a better game?
Well, of course, the two big men, Thomas Robinson, Jared Sullinger. A lot of NBA scouts will be watching that game to see who's better. I think whoever performs better in that matchup will win the game. Tayshaun Taylor from Kansas is also he's the X factor. He stopped turning the ball over and play like he did against North Carolina. Kansas will win the game. But if he turns the ball over a lot, takes bad shots, and doesn't get Thomas Robinson the ball, Ohio State will win easily. Who do you think is gonna win?
Here's my thing. I feel like Jared Sullinger being there is not really gonna affect the outcome. I feel like Kansas is clearly a better team.
Clearly.
I feel like in the first matchup when Jared Sullinger wasn't there, it didn't affect the way they turned over. They didn't take care of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get the ball inside with their guards. And Buford, if his shot is contested, he cannot make shots whatsoever.
Well, that can be said about anybody.
But his field goal percentage during the tournament, he's only made 3 shots when his shot is contested. When his shot is contested.
Good point.
But
Good point.
when it's not contested, he's 10 for 21. So I mean, other than Jared Sullinger, I don't see any offensive outlets that he can go to once Robinson and Taylor and the rest of those Kansas guys really key in on him. I don't see them being productive in any
So
way.
you got Kansas facing
Kentucky.
Well, if that happens, then it will really be a blowout because Kentucky already beat Kansas in Madison Square Garden. So a rematch, I think it'll be a blowout. But Ohio State has a better chance of beating Kentucky than Kansas.
We'll see what happens. Now, you mentioned North Carolina. In 1982, something historic happened for North Carolina and one of their players. Michael Jordan hit the game-winning shot against Georgetown in 1982 that brought his national star to the forefront. Now, no one knew Michael Jordan would be as good as he became, but at that moment, that gave him the confidence to become what he did. Now, March 28th, 1995, Michael Jordan came into the Garden 4 games out of retirement and dropped 55 points on the Knicks. In Madison Square Garden, I must say again, this is the 17-year anniversary of that game, and I'm here with the Knicks fan to tell me how he feels about that specific game.
I mean, he scored 55,
Right.
but it was only a 2-point game. So that kind of foreshadowed that they weren't going to win the championship because they didn't have enough talent to win the championship that year. Because if you score 55, it's supposed to be a blowout. And it was only his 5th game back. I give him that. But, you know, he shot the ball, 40 times? I hope you score 50 points shooting that much.
Well, he was 21 for 37. He scored 20 points in the first quarter. I mean, he was so efficient from the outside that it almost didn't seem like he missed any shots. He was 3 for 4 from the 3-point line.
You just said he was 21 for 37.
But the specific shots that he was making so many fadeaways. He was making 3-pointers. I mean, he clearly added an aspect to his game that the New York Knicks didn't expect. The entire game, they were playing man-to-man, which is a Riley staple during his time in New York. Pat Riley, if y'all didn't know. I mean, during his time in New York, he felt like the defenses that he had, Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing as the anchor, John Starks. I mean, those players were defensive staples for the New York Knicks. So they felt like Michael Jordan, coming out of retirement, probably wouldn't be as effective. But guess what? He was. 55 points, 21 for 37 from the field, 20 points in the first quarter. Also, he had the game-winning assist to Bill Wennington, which they also did not expect.
Who?
Bill Wennington.
I mean, that's probably his only highlight ever in basketball. That's embarrassing.
Here's my thing. At that time, it was a Madison Square Garden record. Most points against the New York Knicks by an opponent until 2009, when Kobe Bryant came into Madison Square Garden and dropped 61. Now, he had 61 points. The Garden was loving him at that time. Hold on, we got a caller. You're on with the winning circuit. What's up?
What's up, man?
You're on with the winning circuit. What's up?
I guess he got that caller got tired of you raving about Jordan, and nobody wants to hear about that. That's in the past. He's not in the league anymore. Move on.
Well, we about to transition to somebody who is in the league still, still going strong. Kobe Bryant. When he dropped 61 on the Knicks, it was amazing. 61. What was his field goal percentage? 19 for 31. Only 2 assists though, so he clearly wasn't passing.
No rebounds.
No rebounds. But he came in there to prove a point.
What point was that?
He wanted to score 61 points. What performance do you think was better? And explain.
Well, logically, 61 is more than 55, so that performance was better, don't you think? I mean, it's pretty much that simple.
No. Actually, it's not that simple.
Why not?
He scored 61. It was a great game. No one's taking away from the actual game. But the stage.
It's Madison Square Garden. It's the same stage.
The stage and the stakes are different. In 1995, the Knicks were clearly a beast in the East. Patrick Ewing was still going strong. Pat Riley was in it to win it. And Michael Jordan was coming out of retirement. You know the media circus that hit the Garden at that time? I don't think that you understand the type of pressure that is on him at this time.
Pressure?
He's coming out of retirement from playing baseball. He wants to prove to the fans that he still got it. And the Knicks are a rival. The 55-point game, to me, is clearly above.
You're just a Jordan lover, that's why.
No, I pay respect to the Kobe Bryant performance. I mean, it's an all-time performance, and it deserves to be up there in an opponent games versus the Knicks. But I felt like because of how good the Knicks were at that time, because the Bulls needed a great performance, because at that time they were at the bottom of the East trying to battle for a playoff position. If they got this win, it would have given them great momentum. And Michael Jordan is just Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is just what kind of statement is that? Listen, 61 points is more than 55 points. You can make all the excuses about different stage. It's the same arena. What are you talking about different stage?
So the competition level. The Knicks clearly weren't good in 2009.
So you're saying because Mike D'Antoni was the coach and you had players like Chris Duhon playing for the Knicks.
Right.
That it's easier for Kobe to score than it was for Jordan to score back in 95?
Well, you brought up a good point. It clearly was easier. I'm not saying it's easier, but the rules are tailored towards offensive players now. After 2001, you couldn't hand check anymore, and in the 90s, the New York Knicks were clearly one of the teams that used hand checking as a tool. The Detroit Pistons, the New York Knicks, those teams that had to go hard against Michael Jordan clearly used hand checking as a way to get an advantage. I'm not saying they didn't have the right to use it, but that was an advantage that helped them be successful. In today's NBA, you can't use hand checking anymore, so it's tailored towards an offensive player. As you can see, Kobe Bryant on this play right here is abusing Gallinari. So
abusing? That's just one play.
Well, he scored 61, so.
Well, Gallinari's not on the Knicks anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter. He can abuse him. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's up for debate. In my opinion, the 55-point game is better because of the stage, the competition level, who actually came in, coming from the circumstances that he came from, coming from minor league baseball to put the Bulls back on that level that they were when he left in 1993. I mean, I feel like the 55-point game is clearly better.
And my logic is just simple. 61 points is more than 55 points, so that was better.
Here's one thing we do know. The New York Knicks were victims more than once.
Oh, here we go. They barely lost both games. They were in both games.
You hear the logic, people? Barely
It's
lost.
not logic. I mean, you act like they lost by 30 points or something. You act like they're the only team in history to have an opponent score that many points against.
Wow.
Listen, Madison Square Garden is the best arena in sports. People want to perform.
It brings the best out of people.
People want to perform.
Indeed. So as we move on, the Knicks are back, 25-25.
Back, they never left.
Speaking of back, Amari Stoudemire is out 2 to 4 weeks. What they call a herniated disc in his back.
Mm-hmm.
He could have had surgery, but if he would have had the surgery on his back, he would have been out for the season. Carmelo Anthony has a groin injury, so he might be limited. The Knicks do play the Magic as we speak, so them being 25-25, they're making a run. In the last 7 games, they're 6-1.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how necessarily these injuries are going to affect them. Jeremy Lin is also injured
with a knee injury.
So we don't know where that's going to go, but we'll see what happens.
Listen, if Amari, he didn't want to get surgery because he didn't want to miss the championship parade that the Knicks will have when they win the championship. So Carmelo's going to step it up. All you Knicks fans, or everybody else who want to trade Carmelo, do you want to trade Carmelo now?
They probably still do.
Why would you want to trade Carmelo? Amari is hurt right now. If we would have traded Carmelo and Amari got hurt, who would we have right now playing? Who would be the superstar?
Yeah, you can't predict injuries. You can't predict.
You
injuries.
can if you have if you had injury concerns throughout your career. He had the eye injury, the knee injury. He had the back injury last year. The back injury again this year. I guess he's worth that $100 million.
Or it's the demands in New York. You know, y'all won a championship. You haven't won one since 1973.
They'll win one this year. I guarantee that.
That's if you make the playoffs.
They will make the playoffs. Didn't you just say they were 6-1 in their last 7 games?
Who they play?
They played Indiana twice, who's a playoff team. They beat Milwaukee, who's fighting for that playoff spot. They're going to beat Orlando tonight. I mean, I don't understand your logic, sir. A win is a win.
Indeed it is.
Thank you.
As we speak about championships, we're going to speak about real contenders now.
Wait, so the Knicks aren't real contenders?
No, they're not. They haven't been a contender since 1973.
What kind of...
Well, as we get into LeBron James, Kevin Durant, the Miami Heat, I mean, there's so much going on in the league right now. The Miami Heat are on a losing streak. They're 8-6 in the month of March. All 6 games are on the road, and LeBron James in the last 5 games has been shooting 40%. Now,
well, that's because he's playing with a dislocated finger.
But that dislocated finger happened in the last game. It didn't account for the previous 4 games. Now this season, he's shooting 53%. Dwayne Wade's scoring is down, but his field goal percentage is also up. He's shooting 51%. Bosh is averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds a game. So this little stretch that they're having right now, I don't take too much into it, but I will say this. As we enter April, all teams have to be strong. All teams have to be on all gears. They have to be running smooth. And I feel like this is just a speed bump, but they do have to catch the Chicago Bulls, who are 40-10.
Yeah, and they're not going to catch them.
Also, the Bulls are showing their depth. Derrick Rose, groin injury, is on his way to missing his 7 games in a row off a groin. He's missed up to 16 games this season, so he's on his way to missing 20 games in a lockout-ridden season, and they're still 40-10. So the Bulls are showing their depth, something that they didn't have against the Heat last year. So we'll see that matchup rear its ugly head in the playoffs.
I don't know about that.
So
I don't know about that. Why? Wait, it's not a foregone conclusion that these two will meet in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm sorry, it's not.
It kind of is.
No, it's not. What if the Knicks? Well, the Knicks are gonna get the 4th seed anyway, so the first round doesn't count. What if the Magic beat the Heat in the second round? It could happen. Who's gonna start Dwight Howard on that team?
Who's gonna stop LeBron James on that?
Listen, Dwight Howard. If LeBron comes into the paint, you better believe that Dwight Howard's gonna knock that stuff out of there.
Who's gonna stop Dwayne Wade?
Injuries, the injury bug.
He's still playing. He hasn't missed a game. He hasn't missed a game this season.
He has missed a game. Didn't he have the ankle injury?
Oh, that was when him and LeBron were out at the same time.
Well, that's still missing the game, ain't it?
Well,
and Chris Bosh is gonna stop Chris Bosh, so we don't have to worry about Chris Bosh.
Wade did miss some games prior to the All-Star break, but since the All-Star break, he hasn't missed any games.
Oh, listen. All I'm saying is, it is not a foregone conclusion that these two will meet in the playoffs. I'm just saying, nothing's guaranteed in sports except for the Knicks will win the championship. You heard it here first, on the winner second. So, if you're looking forward to that and it doesn't happen, don't say I didn't. I'm gonna say I told you so.
I'm saying this. This is what I'm saying. Dwayne Wade has only missed 10 games this season. You said that the injury bug is gonna get him. LeBron James, despite having a dislocated finger, is not going to miss any games, and he's probably going to get rolling in April. The Knicks are going to start losing, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs.
Listen. This guy's a hater. You're just a Knicks hater. I don't understand why. Because they beat the Sixers?
We shall progress, not digress.
No.
Over the weekend, Sunday, the Thunder had a big matchup against the Miami Heat, and they ran the Heat out of the building. Kevin Durant scored 28 points, had 8 rebounds and 9 assists, almost a career high, and almost had a triple-double. So, the Thunder get back rolling. They had their little speed bumps prior to that, where they went on a 4-game losing streak. So, Kevin Durant's getting them back. During that 4-game losing streak, during that 1-4 stretch, during a 5-game stretch, they were 1-4. He averaged 25.5 points. 4 games after that, he's averaging 31 points again, and he's getting back on his Grizzly. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if the Thunder are good enough just yet. They are the prohibitive favorite to come out of the West.
And face the Knicks in the finals. But go ahead.
But they still have to play teams like the Lakers, teams like the Spurs, who do have experience. The Thunder are progressing very fast. In the 3-year stretch, they went from the first round to the Western Conference Finals, and now they look like the Western Conference favorite to get to the NBA Finals. So they do seem like they're progressing, but they still have to go up against the size of the Lakers, the experience of the Lakers, and the experience of the Spurs. And
so it sounds like you think the Lakers are going to win the West.
No, I think the Spurs will win the West.
You don't think they're like 90 years old? They're gonna lose in the first round.
Aside from Tim Duncan, who's clearly old, they do have a pretty young team, and they have depth. The Thunder, when they play the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, which I believe, I think that we'll see what type of game Russell Westbrook comes with. He is a dual threat guard who can play both point guard and shooting guard.
Even though he shoots all the time, so I would just call him a shooting guard.
I don't feel that he necessarily knows situational ball handling yet. I don't feel like he knows specifically the right time to get his teammates involved because he's so talented. I think the fact that he is that talented, he feels like he can score on anybody.
So you're saying he has a low basketball IQ because he's talented?
I didn't say that.
That's what it sounded like you said.
But I didn't say that.
You just said he doesn't know basketball situations. That equals low IQ.
Sometimes when you feel you're talented, you feel like you can shoot over everybody. And he's clearly one of the most athletic point guards in this league, up there with Derrick Rose. But I feel like because he's so talented, he sometimes might take shots over 3 defenders or try to dunk on every big man. The Durant and Westbrook relationship is on good terms, and James Harden is
Sixth man of the year.
Is clearly the 6th man of the year, but they don't have any inside scoring whatsoever. They're a perimeter-based team, and their perimeter players don't have post games. So Perkins, Ibaka, Collins, those guys will be an Achilles heel for the Thunder, in my opinion.
Didn't they just beat the Heat by like 14?
In the regular season, games are different. We'll see what happens in the 7-game series.
And speaking of the Lakers, I don't think the Lakers are a threat. You have Andrew Bynum shooting threes, getting benched for shooting threes, and he still thinks he's a 3-point shooter. I guess he thinks he's Kobe, and he's gonna take more threes. So I don't think they're a threat. The Spurs are too old. The only threat I see from Oklahoma City is Dallas.
Dallas.
They are the defending champions.
I feel like Dallas doesn't even have an identity right now. They're old. Lamar Odom doesn't know where his head is right now. And
his head's in the clouds. I mean, but they didn't need him to win last year, so they're not going to need him to win this year.
But look at the specific roster that they have. They lost Caron Butler. They lost Barea. They lost Chandler. Chandler was a defensive anchor for them. Barea was a guard who can get in the lane and create shots. Now look at their roster. They have Vince Carter, who's 55. They have Lamar Odom, who, as you stated, his head is in the clouds. And Dirk Nowitzki, he's still playing at a high level, but he's been playing basketball year round. He played in the summer. There's a lockout. He came from the finals the year before, so he played the whole season. I mean, he's running on fumes right now.
I mean, they are getting Delonte West back pretty soon. He's a good guard for them.
He is a good guard, but he's coming off an injury. So we'll see how he incorporates himself into the offense. Jason Terry is still the best offensive player, but
Dirk Nowitzki is their best offensive player.
well, that can create shots for himself.
What you saying? Dirk can't create shots?
He can't create shots for himself.
What? Yeah. Did you not watch the finals last year?
I mean, creating shots, I'm talking about using your handle to get, well,
All he has to do is back you down and use the fadeaway.
hold on, we got a caller. What's up? You on the winning circle?
What's up?
Yeah. I think the Thunder, beating the Heat. I mean, that was. Did that surprise you that would happen?
Nah, I don't think the Heat are very good, so I knew they would lose that game.
Oh.
What about you?
What do you think about the Lakers? Do you think the Thunder could take the Lakers?
Absolutely. I think they'll take the Lakers in 5 games if they man the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
5 games?
5 games. I gotta give Kobe 1 game.
Yeah.
Five games?
I'll give Kobe a game. I'll give him a game.
So you don't think that the Pau Gasol,
No, I think Andrew Bynum wants to shoot threes. Pau Gasol, he's acting soft. Kobe's getting up there in age. They don't have anybody to guard Russell Westbrook or Kevin Durant. 5 games. 5 games.
5 games is strong.
I have strong opinions on the winning circuit. I'm always right.
Always right.
Always right.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens
I think
playoff
the
time.
Knicks are going to dominate.
I do too. I agree with this caller right here. Here, we heard that dominate. Not just win, but dominate.
What gives you the thoughts to think that the Knicks will dominate?
I mean, it's this formula that's going on. I mean, you can feel that these recent matches. They have the answers. Well, they're finding the answers, but they have the answers, and they will find the greater answers. So the Knicks, they are proving to be. I mean.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
The Knicks are proving to be the most incredible. I mean, there's so many ways I want to keep listening to what you guys have to talk about. But the Knicks, they are the best. They will prove it. Okay, but I have to go.
What's your name before you go? What's your name?
Yeah, it's Rod.
All right.
I gotta go. All right.
Thanks for calling to the winning circuit. That was the smartest caller we've ever had. Did you hear that? Dominate. Not just win, but dominate.
I had to let him get his thoughts across. I feel differently.
Listen,
but
this is what the people think. The people agree with me, baby.
Here on the winning circuit, we let them express themselves. Back to contenders.
Yep.
Now, we spoke about the Lakers. We spoke about the Mavericks. We spoke about the Thunder. We spoke about the Heat. As we come into the dog days of the NBA, there's about 18 to 20 games left. What team do you think will make the biggest run?
You mean besides the Knicks? If I had to pick another team, because you already know I was gonna pick the Knicks. Memphis. Memphis was gonna make a run. I think Dallas will make a run. In the Eastern Conference, no. Besides the Knicks, I don't really see anybody. Maybe Boston. I think they're like a little up and down. So I look for Memphis and Dallas to make the most noise in the NBA besides the Knicks, because you already know, as our caller stated, they will dominate. So I think Memphis and Dallas, those are my 2 sleepers for the rest of the season. I think they'll make some huge noise.
I think that the Heat and the Lakers are going to make the biggest run. Now, the Lakers are 20-4 at home, so the rest of the games will be primarily on the road. I think the Heat will make that run because they just have to. their games in April and March aren't necessarily the most important. They care about May and June. So they're gonna get on a roll and they're gonna make it happen. They play key games against Boston, New York, and Chicago. So, and they also play the Thunder again on April 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So those key games will determine how the Heat are looked at going into the playoffs. Even if they do lose a lot of those games, they're still going to be focused enough to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then it's all in the air after that.
So you just gonna pistol them in to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yes. I don't think any team in the East is even in the stratosphere of the Bulls and Heat.
What?
Honestly.
What?
Just imagine when Derrick Rose comes back.
What?
The Bulls are going to run laps around everybody. And the Heat are just that much better than everybody else defensively.
They just gave over 100 points to Oklahoma City.
You got to understand what level of the game we're in right now. We're in the dog days of the NBA season.
It sounds like you're making a lot of excuses right now.
I'm not making excuses. They played horrible. They didn't make any outside shots until the fourth quarter. And they let the Thunder's home court advantage get the best of them. But I will say this: when the Thunder come to Miami, it might be the same episode.
I don't think so. I think Oklahoma City won that game too.
April 4th. We'll see what happens.
We're gonna see.
Now, we mentioned so many different things. We mentioned Kobe Bryant. We mentioned LeBron James. We mentioned Kevin Durant. Who has taken over the MVP discussion?
I think Kevin Durant. That last performance on Sunday solidified his slot at the number 1 position right now for MVP.
All right, so prior to that, I know early in this...
I mean, it was between LeBron and Kevin Durant anyways. So right now, Kevin Durant got the edge right now.
So, if the Thunder clearly run away... Say the Thunder clearly run away with the West. Mm-hmm. They have a 3-game lead over the Spurs. Say they win the West by 6 games. Is it a clear-cut MVP for Durant?
I think so.
We'll see what happens.
If they have the league's best record at the end of the season, I think he'll win the MVP.
Wow.
Even though LeBron he's having one of the most greatest seasons in basketball history, efficient-wise. I think this recent losing streak is turning voters off, and you gotta remember it's a political thing. A lot of people don't like LeBron for what he did to Cleveland or whatever, and Kevin Durant is a likable guy, so I think voters will go towards Durant more than LeBron.
Here's my thing. If you remember in the early 90s when Jordan was winning all these MVPs, there was this thing that
most of them he didn't deserve, by the way, but go ahead.
Even when Jordan was winning these MVPs, and he was clearly considered the best player in the NBA, you couldn't necessarily give him the MVP every year.
Why not?
I feel like that's the case for LeBron James. Even though the Kevin Durant and LeBron James argument is getting closer and closer by the day, LeBron James is clearly the best player in the NBA.
Clearly, after this Sunday performance, I'm not sure.
I mean, he's shooting 53% this year. He's averaging 27 points, 6 assists, and 8 rebounds. He does that every year, people. I mean, people say that he's a Magic Johnson, but he averages 28 points for his career. Every season since his rookie year, aside from his rookie year, he's had 2,000 points every year. He's on pace to score 20,000 points this season. LeBron James is clearly the best player in the NBA.
Clearly. Ahead of Kobe, Durant.
Kobe Bryant is still playing.
Dwight Howard.
You already know how I feel about Dwight Howard. I feel that Dwight Howard is a great player, but he's not up to the level of the LeBron James. LeBron James is the Kobe Bryant's, the Durant's, the D Wades. I feel like he's a tier below them. Because I feel like Dwight can't create for his teammates. I feel like his offensive game is limited, and despite his defensive prowess, he can't do anything offensively that can carry a team. He needs someone to create for him. And in Orlando, they don't have any players that can create for him because they take 1,000 threes in the stand.
Well, that's not his fault then.
But as a superstar, you're supposed to demand the ball. It's almost it almost goes without saying. As a big man, Shaquille O'Neal consistently.
I don't know what to say. But Shaquille O'Neal had Kobe, Penny Hardaway, and Dwayne Wade.
And you think when they were taking 20 shots, you still think Shaq didn't get his 20 shots? Even with his horrible free throw percentage, he still averaged 27, 29 points a game, 26 points a game, 28 points a game. He has 2 scoring titles. I mean, he's one of the most prolific scorers in the NBA. Dwight Howard has the talent to average 28 points a game. He has the talent to do anything he wants. But offensively, he's very limited. You can still play him one-on-one. You never play Shaq one-on-one because you knew he would destroy you.
Well, Andrew Bynum. So you think Andrew Bynum is better than Dwight Howard right now?
No, I don't think he's a better player. I think offensively he has more moves, and I think offensively he's more of a threat. But as an overall dynamic player, I feel like Dwight Howard is clearly above him. He's averaging 18 points this season, which is a career high. He's leading the league in field goal percentage at 58%. But Dwight Howard does that all the time. He's averaging 20 points, 16 rebounds this year, leading the league in rebounds. He's third in field goal percentage.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's third in blocks and second in field goal percentage. So he's having a great season. But I feel like he hasn't even touched the peak that he knows he can.
Well, speaking of superstars, I read a quote the other day, and it just kind of blew my mind. You know, George Karl, coach of the Denver Nuggets, he's after a game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, he said that Kevin Love is the next Larry Bird.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
I'm speechless. He said a lot of people call Kevin Love the poor man's Larry Bird.
Wow.
I guess you could take the poor man's title off that. So he's basically calling him Larry Bird. I mean, I'm speechless, but what you think?
Kevin Love has made the biggest transition from college to NBA that I've almost ever seen.
What?
When you thought about Kevin Love coming out of UCLA, you didn't think of him as an offensive player. He was a great rebounder and a player who was a hustle player. Get those hustle rebounds, get those putback points, and he had a great outlet pass, almost to the likes of Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Wes Unseld, those players who can start a break just off an outlet pass.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Kevin Love. Kevin Love is at a point offensively that he's prolific. And when you call somebody a prolific scorer, that means that they're guaranteed 25 to 28 points a game every night. His three-point prowess is clearly above any big man in the league aside from Dirk Nowitzki.
Mm-hmm.
And Dirk Nowitzki is on the downside of his career, so Kevin Love might come for that title. Kevin Love is in a bad situation in Minnesota where they're not winning. But when
they're doing better this season than they usually do.
They're definitely more competitive. But I will say this. Kevin Love has to do way more than just score than to be compared to Larry Bird.
How about getting to the playoffs? I think
he has to do more.
I think he scores a lot because he's almost the only option on his team. It's like he has to score. Who else on that team really scores?
I mean,
I think if he was on a different team, like let's say if he was on the Lakers, let's say if he was on the Thunder, let's say if he was on the Raptors, would he still get 25? And I don't think so.
I mean, you mentioned the Lakers and the Thunder. If he was on those teams, he wouldn't be the number one option. When you're the number one option, or even the number two option, in the case of Russell Westbrook, who averages 24 points, the onus is on you to get the ball in the basket. He's clearly one of the most offensively skilled big men in the league, averaging 26 points. He has one of the best three-point shots in the league, shooting nearly 40% from three. He's improved his game every year. No one would expect him before. Early in the season, there was a comparison between him and Blake Griffin. about who was the best power forward in the league, it's clearly Kevin Love. Offensively, Kevin Love is running laps around Blake
What
Griffin.
about defensively?
Defensively, both of them play no defense.
No, they don't play any defense, right?
But here's the thing. Great rebounders sometimes don't play defense. With the case of Charles Barkley, Kevin Love. I mean, Dominique Wilkins was a great rebounder for his position, and he didn't play any defense. So, I mean, sometimes great rebounders don't play defense. So, obviously, they're forgetting about that. They're forgetting about that when they talk about overall player. Obviously, George Karl felt like the comparisons were there. I think the fact that he's a tall player. He's, what is he, 6'10"?
Mm-hmm.
He shoots threes. It reminds him of Larry. But Larry Bird's offensive game, from his passing to the way he can dominate the game without even shooting the ball. Larry Bird is clearly above Kevin Love. Kevin Love has to win playoff games.
To the playoffs
He has
first.
to exactly.
Get to the
Step by
playoffs.
step. He has to get to the playoffs. First he has to finish over 500. Then he has to get to the playoffs. Then he has to win.
Well, you can
playoff
get to the
series.
playoffs without finishing over 500.
I mean, look at the Knicks.
I mean, look at Michael Jordan, like 84.
Hey, stuff happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say this. Kevin Love is a great player. He's someone who will carry this league in the latter years. Kevin Durant.
He won't be in.
Russell
he won't be
Westbrook.
in Minnesota for long. I think he'll go to a new team.
I mean, if Ricky Rubio comes in and does what he's supposed to do, if he recovers from his injury, we'll see how they build.
Don't get your hopes up. If you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, don't get your hopes up. That's all I'm saying.
We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
This is another episode of the Winner Circuit. As we wrap up, we want to thank everyone for watching. I'm Isaiah,
This is Devin.
and you already know this is the Winner Circuit.
Wait, shout out to my little sister. She's 20th birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Enjoy yourself.
And George Karl, stop making dumb quotes. All right, use common sense. First you was talking about Carmelo. Now you talk about Kevin Love. What's next? What you gonna say? Eric Gordon's the next Michael Jordan? Cut it out, George Karl. Worry about your own team. Make sure they make the playoffs first, because a lot of people thought you guys would make it to the finals, or at least contend in the upper echelon in the West, and you guys are not even gonna make the playoffs. All right?
27 and 23. I don't think he has the right to talk about anybody else's team.
I mean,
But-
a lot of people say they're better than the Knicks, and I don't see it. So George Karl, worry about your own team.
Didn't they beat you guys at the Garden?
That's one game.
Didn't Gallinari have a career high?
Is he playing now?
He had 37 against you guys.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, we're back. We're back to the wrap-up session. As we wrap up, I am Isaiah.
This your boy Knicks. This is a Knicks hater right here, but it's all good, baby.
Congratulations to all of the Final Four teams. As we watch this weekend, we'll see what happens.
Tune in next week.
The Winner Circuit, we're out.
Peace.